have to call the police.
Hey, stop it!
My husband hurriedly took my phone away from me. I've always kept my bankbook and my ID in a safe place. I never thought that such a strange thing could happen. It must have been someone close to me who stole them. My husband is extremely reluctant to report this, and so my distrust of him only grows. My name is Elisa. I'm 25 years old and an office worker. My husband Joe is 28 years old and was an upperclassman in college. After graduating from college, I had a drinking party with my college friends. Joe happened to be there too. That was how we met. We didn't have a chance to see each other while we were in college, so the drinking party was like our first meeting. My husband, who was drunk at the time, made a strong appeal to me, and we decided to go out on the spur of the moment. Even when he wasn't drunk, he told me that he liked me, so I was reassured that he really meant it. My husband is really persistent. He was the one who kept persuading me to marry him from the time we were dating. He would also praise me and say,
"Your soup is delicious. I want to marry you. Thank you for washing my clothes. I want to marry you."
It's these small things, but he really showed how much he wanted to marry me. He loves me so much, so it feels nice. In fact, I am so happy that he talked a lot about our future together. About a year into our relationship, I found out that I was pregnant. To be honest, I was thinking that it would be exciting to have a child with him. Looking back, I sometimes feel that I should have been more careful. When I told my husband that I was pregnant, he was very happy. He always takes action, so we registered our marriage on the same day. We were now living together for the first time. We both used to live on our own. I was somewhat confident in my housework and had my own way of doing things, so I was anxious about living with someone else. My husband had also been living alone for a long time, and he said that he was confident in his housework. I thought that this would be okay, and I had high hopes for him, but I only got disappointed. In the beginning, he washed the dishes and cleaned the house, but the habit was gone after only a month. There were cups left on the table. Clothes were left scattered in the living room. He never took out the trash. I was in the early stages of pregnancy, so I tried to get my husband to help me with the housework as much as possible. I said, "I'm not feeling well today because of the morning sickness. Would you clean up after dinner for me?" My husband didn't even look at me because he was so absorbed in his phone.
"I'm in the middle of a good game right now. I will do it later."
I wonder if he was really listening. I went to bed early. When I woke up the next morning, the dishes were still in the sink. My husband was up late at night playing games on his phone. He's sleeping in the living room. I was in tears because I was suffering and he was not responding to my request for help. But I knew that giving up at this point was not an option. I asked him to help me with the housework again that night. "Did you forget to wash the dishes yesterday? I'd like you to do it today if you can."
"Okay, I know. My mom would never say something like that."
For a moment, what my husband said made me feel uncomfortable. I thought about asking for more details, but my husband might get cranky if I say too much. I swallowed down the discomfort I was sure I felt and simply said, "Thank you." The next morning, I felt so much disappointment again. Yes, my husband did wash the dishes, but the dishes were left without being wiped dry. The sink wasn't wiped either, and the area was also soaked with water. Did I have to say, "Wash the dishes, wipe them, and put them back on the shelf"? I felt so discouraged and sighed deeply. I had no choice but to put the dishes away. I wonder what my husband's life was like when he lived alone. When I was beginning to distrust him, he started to talk about his mother often.
My mama never made me or my dad do any housework.
I see. Was your mom working?
No, she's a stay-at-home mom. Well, she's a housewife, so she's supposed to do the housework. My mama did her chores perfectly, you know.
I see.
I hope you can be just like my mama, Lisa. You should work hard.
So for the first time, I learned that my husband called my mother-in-law Mama. I also learned that she is his ideal mother and that he wants me to be like her. I was astonished. Unfortunately, my husband really had a mother complex. Well, how about I quit my job since I'm pregnant and become a full-time housewife? Then I can do more housework.
That's not good. In this day and age, both husband and wife should be working, right? You can't just keep relying solely on my income.
My husband did not listen to my suggestion at all. What? But you want me to be like your mom, don't you?
You can at least balance work and housework, because that's just the way it is now.
So since you're saying it's this day and age, you will share the housework too, right?
What the heck? Even my mama wouldn't make me do that.
What he was saying was so messed up. My head was full of questions. In other words, he wanted me to take care of everything at home and be in charge of the finances too. It was too convenient for my husband, and I cannot accept it. I tried to talk to him again and again, but he would not change his mind. On the contrary, he said something unexpected.
If you don't want to do the housework that badly, I will call Mama. That's definitely better.
Why would you do that? That's not what I mean. I just want you to do things right.
I'm telling you, it's not right to make me do it. So if Mama is here, it's gonna be solved.
I don't know if it was because he wanted his beloved mother to be close to him, but my husband and I did not get along well. When my belly started to swell and become more noticeable, I was dreading the situation. Finally, my mother-in-law started coming in and out of our house. Oh my, isn't this so dirty? I will do all the housework for you. Every time she came to our house, she was very enthusiastic. It was as if she would redo the chores I had done one after the other. She was always trying to do things that I felt like my pace was disturbed. This is our house, so you don't have to do so much. It's alright. It's better if I do it myself. I'd rather do it myself. I told her what I wanted her to do, but she wouldn't listen to me. It's unfortunate that my mother-in-law and I couldn't communicate well. My mother-in-law seems to be proud of what she has done so far. She would often tell me stories like this. My husband is a bit disagreeable, but he makes a lot of money. He's currently working abroad. Is that so? But the reason he can focus on his job and make so much money is also because of me. I'm sure Joe will be just like his father. So you should learn from me, Alyssa. Haha, yes. This seems to be the reason why my husband was telling me to be like my mother-in-law. I'm sure that my mother-in-law had been telling him this idea for a long time. Oh, by the way, have you decided on a name for your child yet? No, we haven't decided yet.
About that, I'd like you to decide on the child's name, Mama.
What?
Mama is going to help us a lot when the baby is born, so I don't mind if she decides.
Oh my God! I'm so glad! Even when I make a blatantly disgusted face, they don't even look at me. I'm the one who is going to give birth to my baby, but I'm getting angry at their selfishness. I guess it was because of these days that I began to have frequent stomach cramps. I was stressed out and felt that my body was starting to show signs that I was not doing well. Every time my stomach rumbled, I would worry that my child would suffer. I became sicker and sicker at work, and so I began to take longer and longer breaks. I felt bad about this, and so I decided to talk to my boss about it. I said, "Excuse me, I need to talk to you about something." My boss immediately told me that he could tell just by looking that I was not feeling well. He suggested that I take maternity leave as soon as possible. I felt bad and said, but my boss said he would be happier if I had a healthy child and returned to work in good health. With his encouragement, I decided to take his advice and go on maternity leave. Thankfully, the people around me did not criticize me for it, but rather they supported me. When I get home, I will tell my husband that I'm on maternity leave. My mother-in-law was there today as well, as she should be. When I told them about my maternity leave, my husband didn't look happy about it.
What are you going to do throughout that time? How are you going to make a living?
I can't work because of my health condition. It's for the sake of our child. Let's just manage to get by on our own.
If you're not feeling well, then why don't you ask my mama to take care of the housework? Then you can go to work.
Yes, that's right. My mother-in-law's expression of approval is very annoying. My mother-in-law is the cause of my health problems, but my husband doesn't understand anything. I didn't like his response and have lost interest in arguing with him any further. I'm sorry, but if you can't understand me no matter what I say, then I can't stay here. I'm on maternity leave and I'm going home to have a baby, so I'm going back to my parents' house right away.
Back to your parents' house? What do you mean?
I had hoped to give birth at my hometown without my husband's knowledge. I was afraid that if I talked to my husband about it, he would say that he wants my mother-in-law to be there, so I could not tell him. When they found out that I was going back to my hometown, they were both furious. "You traitor! How dare you do this?"
You hurt my mama. Why don't you just have the baby here?
The two of them were so furious that I was surprised and overwhelmed. But I knew that if I didn't get out of there, I might be pushed around by my mother-in-law and my husband who has a mother complex. I've already paid the hospital where I'm going to give birth. You don't want to waste money, do you? Actually, I hadn't paid for it yet. But to my stingy husband, this lie seems to be effective. With the two of them trembling with anger, I quickly packed up my belongings and went back to my parents' house that day. Life at home is like heaven. I was able to spend time at my own pace. I was relaxed. My stomach tightness gradually got lighter, and my health condition gradually stabilized. As for my mother-in-law and husband, I think they are still very much upset that I'm going to give birth here. While I was here, they did not contact me at all. Actually, it made me feel safe and secure. I am able to spend my time without thinking about anything bad. And I was able to give birth to a healthy baby boy on the exact day of his due date. My husband probably forgot about the due date because he never contacted me at all. It seems he didn't know that I had given birth, so I decided to let him know that the baby was born safely. Then, after such a long period of no contact, I received a phone call from my husband.
You don't have to stay at your parents' house anymore, right? Come home soon.
The truth is, I wanted to stay at home for a little while longer and focus on raising my child. However, I had been at my parents' house for a long time, so I decided to return to my husband's place. When I returned to my husband's house, my mother-in-law was waiting for me. I wondered how they would react. As soon as he saw his son's face, he complained.
Why did he have to look like Elisa? He should have looked more like me.
He looks like you here, and he looks like me over here. He doesn't look like Elisa, so it's fine. Even though I endured the pain and the struggle of giving birth, they treated me so badly. I didn't have time to react to the words of my mother-in-law and husband. What was even more shocking was that the layout of the house had been completely changed. I could tell immediately that my mother-in-law had done it. "You did a lot of redecorating, huh?" "I'm the one who did it."
I had my mama come over every day since I started working remotely. I also had our room redecorated to my mama's liking.
They are talking so happily in close proximity, and it felt physically impossible for me to be here, so I looked away. I found it unbearable to have my mother-in-law by my side. I urged my mother-in-law to leave because I felt tired that day. She came to our house with a large package with the intention of staying the night, so she didn't like it. "If you disrespect me, you're gonna get it." She left the house with a loud bang. For the next few days, my mother-in-law did not come. I felt very much at ease even when I had to take care of my child. When my mother-in-law comes over, it will be chaotic again. So I decided to put together the documents to be submitted to the office in the meantime. "Oh, I put them away here, but they're not here. I can't find my bank book and ID, which I need to submit the documents. I had kept them in my room, so there was no way they could be missing." I asked my husband just to be sure, but he said he didn't know. I placed those in a pouch and put it in a drawer in my room, so it was natural that he didn't know about it. I searched for it in the corner of the house, thinking that I might have left it somewhere when I was tired. However, the room had been redecorated without my permission, so I could not find it easily. Because it is an important thing, I suddenly felt uneasy. It's most likely a thief. Maybe they got in while we were gone. I have to call 911. I picked up my phone to consult with the police before anything serious happens. My husband, looking impatient, stops me.
"Stop it! I was home most of the time anyway. And as for guests, it's only Mama who came to the house. It's not worth calling the police."
"Because even after all this searching, I can't find it, you know. If it had been stolen, we'd be in big trouble."
"Look again. If you don't look hard enough, you will cause Mama trouble."
My husband snatched the phone out of my hand, desperately trying to stop me from calling the police. Why is he in such a hurry? He doesn't give me my phone back for a while after that. He has also been making a lot of comments defending his mother. I felt suspicious about his behavior and decided to take drastic action. The next day, my mother-in-law came to our house for the first time in a while. Her movements were awkward, and her vibe was different. She was looking from left to right and did not look at me at all. I sensed that she was hiding something from me, so I decided to ask her about it. "Emma, I want to ask you something. When you redecorated our room, did you see my bank book and ID?" "Well, I don't know. I wonder what happened." "I'm having a really hard time finding them, so I'm thinking of talking to the police." "The police? Oh, that's right. I remember now." "You remember?" "The pouch with a flower design. It was in your room. Did you lose it by any chance? You can't even keep track of your belongings. You're so pathetic." She was upset and raising her voice. My mother-in-law looked so suspicious, but still, I couldn't understand how she could still make fun of me. I thought that my mother-in-law needed no mercy. I folded my arms. "How did you know those items were in the flower pattern pouch?" "What?" My mother-in-law stiffened, and her face looked guilty. My husband also turned pale and held his head in his hands. Seeing the two of them together, I felt angry and ashamed of them, plus a bunch of other feelings that were hard to describe. "I see it now. Then I should leave it to the police."
"Stop!
Don't Don't do that! At that moment, the sound of sirens rang out from outside. A police car is already outside. If you have an excuse, please tell it to the police. My husband and mother-in-law continued to make excuses. I told them that I didn't need to listen to what they had to say. I decided to leave the rest to the police. Thanks to the police, my bank book and ID were returned to me. I knew that my mother-in-law had stolen them. My mother-in-law, who did not like my behavior, did it to harass me. She actually tried to withdraw money from my account, but she was told by the bank teller that only the owner of the account could do it. The bank refused to accept the withdrawal. Even so, she kept my bank book and ID hidden to harass me. My husband knew what my mother-in-law had done, but he could not betray his beloved mother and hurt her back. When I learned of this fact, I confronted him with divorce. I thought that I would never want to see these guilty people again, so I also demanded child support in one lump sum. Of course, neither my husband nor my mother-in-law had the financial means to do so. I told them to contact my father-in-law right then and there. My father-in-law seems to be a decent man. When he found out what my mother-in-law and husband had done, he took my side. He told me that he would take care of the child support and that my mother-in-law and husband were responsible for paying him back. Thus, the time Joe and I were married only lasted a short time. But I'm glad that I got rid of that man. Now that I'm a single mother, I'm more than happy to see my son grow up. My life is busy and difficult, but my son has made every day of my life very fulfilling. I'm now getting close to going back to work, and I'm trying to push myself to live strongly. As for my ex-husband, after the divorce, I sometimes hear rumors about him, and it seems that his mother complex got worse. An acquaintance of mine has seen my ex-husband and my mother-in-law walking hand in hand, and was worried about what was going on. I have no feelings for my ex-husband at all, so that I can laugh at such stories. I know that they will never change, but I wanted them to repay their debt to my father-in-law.